So hiring managers, although they're struggling to find the right candidate, they're getting flooded by recruiter messages promising them everything. And so one great way to kind of use ChatGPT is to help you write a great presentation and email outreach campaign, highlighting some of the great skills about the candidate that you have that you would like to place there to gather some of their potential interest and start a conversation of how you can help them fill that need that they have.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenley, and welcome to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we have an amazing Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit more about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show. Sometimes we're going to have interviews with industry leaders and others who are shaking up the space, and they're going to teach you how to do something that they do that's helped them be successful. Sometimes we're going to cover trending topics, items that recruiters are talking about or will be very soon and what that means for them. Every Tuesday, like today, we're going to drop a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Every now and then, we're going to open it up for Q&A. Listeners can drop in questions that they'd like to hear us take on. If you have those, send them over to podcast@loxo.co. And occasionally you're going to hear a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something that's been bouncing around in his head about the recruitment space and things you need to know about. So today's episode, Tactical Tuesday, we have an expert who has been fascinated by the intersection of recruitment and ChatGPT. Today's episode, we're going to focus on one of the top struggles that companies face today is finding great talent. And when you're on the recruiter side, we've been hearing that the focus has shifted more towards spending time developing business and client relationships. And one of the best ways to do that is through MPC marketing, which stands for Most Placeable Candidate. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to our expert, Vivien Maron, to get tactical on how you can start doing this today. So Vivien, welcome. Excited for this.
Hi, thanks for having me, Sam.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about how you've been using ChatGPT to help with this concept.
Previously, as a recruiter, one of the big things is always business development. And one great way of doing that is when you have a really great candidate that you've been talking to and you would like to take that candidate shopping, so to speak, to potential clients. So obviously, this is when you'll be reaching out to hiring managers, trying to kind of get their attention to talk to you about this potential candidate. However, as we kind of know, the recruiting space has shifted a little bit and has kind of shifted more towards business development. So hiring managers, although they're struggling to find the right candidate, they're getting flooded by recruiter messages promising them everything. And so one great way to kind of use ChatGPT is to help you write a great presentation and email outreach campaign, highlighting some of the great skills about the candidate that you have that you would like to place there to gather some of their potential interest and start a conversation of how you can help them fill that need that they have and fill that rec that they have. So I'm going to show you how you can use ChatGPT when you have the resume of a great candidate and the job description where you would like to funnel them and kind of get the hiring manager's attention. So here we have ChatGPT. You see 3.5 and 4. Sam and I were going to get into the difference between the two in a later episode. So in the meantime, I'm going to start you off by showing you how to get this conversation started with ChatGPT. And you can do that by basically just introducing yourself and who you even are, what you're doing. The best way to utilize ChatGPT is by kind of providing it that context. And here you're doing that by essentially saying, "Hi, ChatGPT. I am an agency recruiter. I have an amazing candidate that I would love to market to potential clients for business development efforts. And I would like your help writing a compelling campaign to get a hiring manager's attention." And here you will basically provide it the job description as well as the candidate's resume so that it can actually get started on that. So I am using a data engineer job description for a position that we have here available at Loxo. So skilled, gifted data engineers, if you are looking for a great opportunity, this is a great place to do so. So I'm copying and pasting that right now. And then you're going to also add the resume. And then ChatGPT is actually going to start thinking. And boom, right here, it's already thinking. And it has come up with the subject line of, "Hey, a highly skilled data engineer with strong migration experience. And it starts out by saying, "Dear hiring manager, I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out to introduce a highly skilled data engineer who possesses the experience and capabilities to excel in the role of managing Loxo's integration function." But this is a very long email. So for those of you who are watching the video version of this podcast, this is a very long email. And I'm pretty sure when somebody opens that, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is scary." And you can then give ChatGPT some feedback and essentially say, "Hey, that's a great start, but we're going to need to make some adjustments right here." So here we're essentially saying, I would like for you to create a, let's say, 5-step email outreach campaign to the hiring manager. Make these emails short and engaging. Feel free to use copywriting principles and adding a little bit of humor. You want to kind of do something that will do some pattern disruption, that will gain attention to your specific email. And a great way to do that is through subject lines. Like we mentioned before, hiring managers are getting so many emails. So if you want to stand out, you can start with a really great subject line.
Something you said right there, giving it feedback. I think that's something that myself included for the longest time. We treated ChatGPT as a search engine, whereas you've told me before, have a conversation with it. It said, let it iterate. So what you did there is a perfect example of that, where it's like, that's a great start. Now do this. I think that's something that a lot of people could take away right there in and of itself.
Yeah, for sure. ChatGPT, it always starts with something very simple and very superficial. So at this point, when you're scrolling LinkedIn on a continuous basis, you can probably tell who's writing ChatGPT posts or who's using ChatGPT to write a post, because it sounds really good yet superficial. It's lacking that depth, which is taking it to the next step. And the only way that ChatGPT can really get there is by having this back and forth and almost like a ping pong match with ChatGPT, where you say, "This is a really great start, but we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper and adjust it a little bit." In this case, we provided it with feedback and said, "It's a great start, but let's make it into a 5-step campaign." So the first email, the subject line is, "Are you ready for a data migration maestro?" And it starts out by saying, "Hi, hiring manager's name. I hope this email finds you in high spirits with an appetite for some remarkable talent." That's already quite the improvement. And it goes on to kind of even say, "You're introducing the candidate," and it says, "Are you intrigued?" It is kind of a little bit of a pattern disruption. And when you're watching this video episode, it's a lot. It's quite short and snappy to the point. And that's something that hopefully will get the hiring managers attention. Now, sometimes in the second email, we're seeing that the email is ending on abracadabra. That may not quite be professional depending on who you're talking to. So you can then provide ChatGPT with some feedback. So in this case, we're going to say, "This is a great campaign, but add a little bit more professionalism to the emails." And it listens and changes it so that there's no abracadabra anymore. However, even here in this particular one, we're still seeing, I trust you're having a productive day," or "I hope this email finds you well." So this is something that you can troubleshoot as well by telling it, please get a little bit more creative. Don't use generic openers, such as, "I hope this message finds you well," or "I wanted to follow up on my previous email." And it will get a little bit more creative with that. So now it's generating that. And the fourth email in this case caught my attention and said, "Hi, hiring manager's name. Imagine a world where data migrations are seamless, secure, and stress-free." Sounds like a dream, right? And then it continues on to kind of introduce the candidate a little bit more. So yeah, that's about it. And I think we're going to include a link to the prompts, right? So that people can go on there and copy and paste them, and you can give them a try.
I love it. This is great. I mean, less than 10 minutes and you've already taught us, gone from, "I hope this message finds you well, I have a great candidate," to something that you'd be proud of. And it's not treating this as a one prompt answer, but you feed it, you do some give and take with the conversation, and then you come out with something that you'd be proud to use. And obviously there's a level of editing that you'll still want to do, but this is removing 80% of the hardest part for most recruiters, is how do you write not just one email, but multiple emails, and doing so in a way that is pattern disrupting, it's exciting, and everything else. So absolutely love it. I think that this is a phenomenal step one for what will be definitely a future multi-part series with you. So yeah, this is one use case of many of ChatGPT with recruitment. Definitely looking forward to many more to come. If anyone's ever curious about additional use cases, let us know. But I know Vivien has a large catalog of other items that we'll be getting into. So excited to share those. So with that, Vivien, any other places that you'd recommend people go to just learn more about how to use this tool as it relates to recruitment?
I would recommend just kind of signing up for the free version and playing around with it, providing it with feedback and kind of seeing what it gives it back to you. And then what you don't like, just let it know and say, hey, great start, but I don't really like this part. Or if you have a question about something or disagree with something, or you catch it make some kind of mistake, you can let it know. It will self-correct. And the more feedback you give it, the better it learns, so that moving forward, it will actually improve. Something to keep in mind when you're inserting the resume is that you want to omit all personal information. You don't know what is happening with anything that you put into ChatGPT. So if you are using a candidate, just put in the experience and the education, the skills, and omit the name, personal information such as email, LinkedIn profile, phone numbers, addresses, things like that. That's just best practices, and that keeps the character count below the limit. And I think they have a limit, and I think at about 8,000 characters, but that changes.
Perfect. Great parting wisdom. All right. Well, Vivien, thank you so much for taking the time to come and join us with this today. Truly appreciate you sharing this knowledge with us. It's definitely going to inspire recruiters. I know it's going to inspire me to start incorporating this more into our day-to-day moving forward. For those of you who are listening, definitely recommend checking out the video version of this. We'll also be putting out some snippets and sharing those on social and other places as well. But that's it. That's the show for today. This was a Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. So until next time, talk soon.